It was a time back when the personal computer was a new thing, and having a computer in a house was an amazing thing, that I was on the board of directors of a financial group. This financial group set up an alternate local currency that local community members could use in place of money, and that you could balance it out as however you wanted, and therefore people who did not have access to the unfair world of money, through offering services and also from having an initial buffer grant of, because it's just made up money of free points on this group. I wish I could tell you what LETS meant. It was an anagram for something. Economic transfer system or local economic transfer system, probably. At any rate, the concept was that you would offer goods and services on this system to your neighbors strictly for points, and that through points you would be able to get better goods and services as you advanced your trading through your community. And I was, as I say, I got on the board of the directors. I was really interested in it. I loved the idea. Um, and eventually I did quit the board because some of the people on the board were just too unruly, and it was my job to try and rule them. And at the point that a couple of the founding members thought that slamming their fist down on the table gave them the right to win all arguments, I just kind of went, yeah, I got better things to do with my time. So, and in the process of all this, I noticed something very important was that the system had more or less become a discount coupon system. It was almost impossible to get anybody on the system that would work for the points alone. And the amount of money that they were asking was not really significantly different from just hiring someone out of the classified ads. And it was more or less just becoming a classified ad and coupon delivery system. And that's what caused it to peter out. And then as the internet came along and internet marketplaces came along and it became easier for people to connect, they just continued to use cash because cash is still king. And then when the Bitcoin system was first announced, I took a very interested look at that because I was learning about it at a point that I could have bought into the system for very little money. And I considered it. There were some barriers for me at the time for buying into the system, and that's okay now. Because the more I thought about it, the more I realized it doesn't matter what you call it. I don't care who's in charge of it, what you call it. The minute you start turning everybody into a set of numbers to determine who's more valuable than who, you've screwed up. I happen to think that the janitor, the most low paid person in the organization, is one of the most important people in the organization. He's keeping your organization healthy. He's cleaning up after your slobs. He's making you look presentable. He's doing all of that in the background. Transparent, just smooth, reliable, done. And yet you pay him the least. And I just don't happen to think that any kind of pay system. I don't think it's fair to ask the farmer what his beets are worth. And I don't think it's fair to say, well, your beets, I should get a year's worth of beets for one drawing of a house, says the architect, because I went to school for it. And the farmer's like, well, I've got my entire life invested in this farm. So whose education is worth more? It's all so insane. And what it does is it sets us up as competition for each other, even when we're not in competition with each other. Why am I competing with the doctor to see which one of us has more value in the world? Why are you competing with anyone else to see who's got more value? Why aren't you both just valuable? I remember saying a few times, I'm not here to be great, I'm here to be useful. I want to be part of my community. And that's where the heart is fulfilled. It's not fulfilled in being bigger than the people around you. That's an illusion that we have been getting fed through the media. because it makes you so weak. And it makes you cling to a monetary system which continues to fail to serve most of us. I know, how else are we going to do it? With extreme generosity, patience, and tolerance. Extreme generosity, patience, and tolerance. I have no idea how we're going to get there. It seems ridiculous to me to expect that of anybody. But that is the ultimate solution to this problem. You bring what you have to the marketplace. You take what you need. And you go home. You don't have to waste your entire day trying to convince someone to take your stuff. You just leave it there. People help themselves. And this would include, I guess, cards and signboards. These are things I can do. This is the time I'm available to do them, whatever the heck. And today's digital age, it would be so easy for us to make those connections. But each and every one of us would have to switch together, because you still got to pay for your rent. You can't work for free. You can't give your product away for nothing, because you still got to buy for your food, and your grocery stores still got to pay for their warehouse, and the whole chain is completely tied up. And it has to come from the grassroots. It's going to have to come from the ground up. We're going to have to do it in small ways with each other, slowly and gradually abandoning our reliance on the corporations and the money system, and learning to live differently. And we're so caught up, so intensely caught up as a species in the doings of big people, in the images we see in our box, that I don't know when we're going to get there. That, my friends, is what I think it's going to take. We can have all the revolutions and wars we want, but as long as we're still counting each other's value, and counting the value of everything that passes through our hands, and everywhere we stand, and everything we do, and everything we hold, well, then we're a slave to the math, aren't we? And if we're a slave to the math, that means someone who can manipulate the math like they do is our master.